Hello everyone, this is Cecilia for Esports News UK with the latest from Worlds powered by Aegon by AOC. Today we have with us G2 assistant coach Duffman. Can you give us a few words on today's match against Hartnell?
I mean, the early game, as kind of our habit, it went a bit poorly, shall we say, but no, I'm really happy with how the players reacted. I think we were really looking for plays. I think one of the things coming into these events is people are saying like, oh, you'll play against better teams, they won't make these same mistakes, you won't get to come back. And I think we've seen that these teams make the same mistakes. They're not really just that much better. I think we found a lot of plays in a lot of really difficult positions. So I think BB and Caps especially played really well. But yeah, we didn't win in the end. Smolder was a bit strong. We didn't get the right plays to finish the game. So it's disappointing, but I'm happy with the reaction after we fell behind.
In what way do you and the other staff help the players prepare for a situation like this in which the early game was not going as planned, but then you need to find that way to turn the tides back in your favor?
I think a lot of it is just having good fundamentals of like understanding like a lot of the logical patterns. If they want to do something, it means they have to give something else up, and then trying to make sure we're in position to punish that, making sure the players know to base ahead of the waves that they need to contest. If they want to play for an objective, we need to be ready to contest the same wave on the opposite side of the map so they don't get it for free, kind of thing. Like that's kind of the main process for it. Other than that, it's like the players' own creativity. I think a lot of it does come down to BB and Caps just finding a lot of angles that other players don't necessarily see. So it's kind of a little bit of our preparation, and then it's a lot of it the creativity of the players.
In looking to a bigger picture of the year and the future of this roster, where do you think these tournaments, so international tournaments like Worlds, takes place in their growth?
I think these tournaments are huge. I think we spend a lot of time in Europe practicing kind of isolated from the rest of the world, so we can see how other teams are playing, but we can't necessarily feel what it feels like to play against them. So these tournaments are just really huge, just to get you a really quick shot into, okay, we need to be much faster, we need to be much better than we necessarily have to be in Europe, where things are a lot slower and teams are a lot less certain. I think a big part of that is when you come to these events, you play winning teams, and our region, we are the winning team, so teams tend to give us a lot more respect than we necessarily deserve. They think we know something when sometimes we're just hinting, and when we come to these events, every team is trying to take those small advantages, so it's really it's very important for our growth, so we don't just get caught trying to flex when in Europe it would pay off, and then Worlds it just doesn't.
I know that every team has its own, main characteristic, as in something that they are generally better at than other teams. Scouting and learning about other teams preparing for the competition, what do you think is something, if you were to say, from the other teams that G2 has to learn from?
I think just how we play side lanes in general. I think a lot of teams they just leave side lanes even and then group and just play the game from there. I think that's a big part of why we won in Europe so consistently. And I think even on a world stage, I think we're a lot more willing to play the side lane game. I think that made this game playable. For example, if we were just grouping and trying to fight because maybe we win, maybe we don't, then I think we lose this game very fast. So I think our main characteristic is how wide we play the map, making sure they can't just take stuff for free when we can make them have to think. I think that would be the main thing, is we make teams think. We ask them questions. Sometimes they don't answer them right, and we get a free Nash. We get a couple kills that we shouldn't have, and I think that's probably our main characteristic.
Amon, I know that you focus a lot on the game side, but generally I wanted to ask you about the pressure that the team and the staff is feeling, being, hailed by a lot of fans here in Europe as Europe's only hope.
Yeah, it is a lot of pressure, especially in our format where we have 4 tournaments in the year to win. You add MSI, EWC, and Worlds on top of that, like, you have to peak a lot of times. Like, you can win as much as you want, but if you're bad on one day, you just lose. So I think it's a lot of pressure. I think we're just used to it. Like, you know, we've all been doing this a long time. I think we are used to that sort of pressure, being expected to win. So I think it kind of suits us. It makes sure we don't take things too lightly. We are kind of a very serious group in that respect.
Taking a step back from Worlds and looking at it from a different angle, what does it mean for you that, you know, Worlds is back in Europe and the final is going to be in the UK in London?
Yeah, I mean, that's just sounds really cool. Like, if we could get to play there, that would be a dream. It would be great. All the family there, it would be really nice. I think being back in Europe especially, it's very helpful for us because we're used to just everything. Like, we're playing in our own studio, right? We don't have to ask questions like, what will it be like at the studio? How will this work? So it frees a lot of space to think about other things when we're just very comfortable. It's very nice.
Looking at London more in general, this is the second event basically in a row. So we had MSI last year, and then we had Worlds Finals this year. In like you being from the UK, how does it feel for you to see such big events, especially like from the League of Legends esports ecosystem, being, you know, in your home turf basically?
It's great. From like a performance side of view, it's just very fun when we can go to an event and like I'm the local guy. I'm not very used to that. Like, normally we're going to Korea, to China, like all these places. I'm just lost, but for the UK, it's great where I can be the one that's going, okay, we're going to go here, like we're going to go out and I'll make sure we get where we're going. It's a lot of fun, and I think it's especially good because when I started in esports, there wasn't so much of a UK scene. I think we had a couple of events. I think Worlds had some like group stage matches or something back in the day, but I think just to see like these big events come to like good places and in London is really fun.
How do you think the esports scene in the UK will benefit from League of Legends esports coming again to London?
I think it's normally these events, it's just about like inspiring people. I think when people are playing the game just casually and then they see, oh, it's coming to London, I think that gives a lot of like, oh, maybe this is something I can pursue. So I think that's very big. I think, especially for on the staff side, I think when people get excited about it, but they're not necessarily the best players or they're not the most experienced, I think it gives a lot of hope to like staff as well. I think it's good.
What are your hopes? I know that you hope to reach London. Yeah. Let's say you do. What are your hopes for you and your team when and if you get to the big stage? Because I don't want to jinx it.
I hope we put on a better show than our last World Finals. That's all I'm hoping for at this point. I don't want to aim too high, but fingers crossed we make it, and I hope we put on a better show for the fans.
One last question that I have for you is more in general for the fans. I know that G2 has a lot of, G2 army here in Europe, so a lot of fans, but internationally, especially when Worlds and MSI comes in, there are a lot of international fans that support you during the international events. What is something about your team that fans might not know about, but you would like them to know?
I'd say Mickey and Yike. I think when we go to these events, I think Caps gets a lot of the limelight, BB, because he's very outspoken. I think Caps and Mickey and Yike, I think, are the things I would like international fans especially to know more about. I think they're very entertaining human beings. I think the limelight kind of gets shown elsewhere. I think some more attention on those guys would be good.